Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Kansas City trumpeter and flugelhornist Stan Kessler on the COVID-19 world and the upcoming 2021. We caught up with this veteran jazz journeyman 3 days before the end of this year we have all lived, 2020. He talked about a wide array of things related to this year, silver linings, harsh realities, and hope as we jump into the new 2021. Enjoy.
Stan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh man, we're I don't know. I've been kind of saying this for a while, but I'm waiting to see David Lynch walk down the middle of the street and just scream "cut," you know.
Right. That's a good one.
But how are you holding up, man? What's going on with you as we get to the end of this very surreal 2020?
You know, obviously I've lost a lot of work because the bulk of my income was performance. I still managed to play a couple of gigs a month at a couple of venues that are large, you know, like Johnny's up in Liberty. Well, I'm going to be playing with the Sons of Brazil tomorrow night at Tomstown up in their event space,
Right on.
which is large, you know. But yeah, not a lot happening performance-wise. I'm lucky that I still have teaching. I'm still at UMKC,
Good.
adjunct faculty, and that's all remote for me. So I'm doing private jazz trumpet lessons and combo online, which is a challenge, you know, because you kind of have to make up a whole new curriculum because you can't get together and actually play in real time.
Yeah.
I gave them some assignments. They would learn tunes and you know, play them for me with backing tracks, you know, use FaceTime and Google Duo, doing that. And then we would have a Zoom meeting every week and talk about their assignments and how they did and what the next assignment was going to be. But the challenging one was we had a recording project. Everybody had to come up with either an arrangement of a standard or an original tune and send, you know, files to each other, do their parts at home, send them back, assemble, mix, and then present their recording project. So that was, you know, these young kids, they all got that together. They all got software for that, and it turned out pretty good, you know, considering. So I got that, and, you know, just little things here and there. So I'm not suffering
Good.
like some people are. I'm just kind of wading in the water here. And, what do you call it? Treading water. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Right now I'm fine. I did get an SBA loan, which is kind of hilarious because it's a 30-year loan. It's kind of funny. But I just borrowed a small amount, and the payments are super low. It's like payments are like I don't know, $39 a month. So you know. Anyway, I'll probably pay that back early because I'm not going to be around for 30 years. So
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm looking at my timeline too. I'd be in a bad way.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could be. I could be here in 30 years. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That is, if the rest of the world was here in 30 years, that's the big question.
Yeah, right.
Good
with the way things are going. Oh my God.
Well, yeah.
You know, when this all began, I think there's a part of us that are looking back in our lives and thinking about things that have been shocking. And, you know, 9/11 and there's other things that happened. But when this all started to kind of crumble, do you remember what your last gig was and how quick did your itinerary evaporate?
Absolutely, I remember. Well, my last gig with an audience was March 15th. The Sons of Brazil did an online thing from the Gem Theater on June 2nd, but that wasn't really, there was no audience. So, yeah, that was when the gig stopped. At that point was March 15th. But then, after, I guess starting back in about August, or maybe July, I think it was August, a couple of places, some places started to, things loosened up a little bit, and as long as they followed certain protocols, they could be open. So, but yeah, most of the gigs went bye-bye. Or, like there's a couple of places that I was playing where they're still having these music, but no horn players or singers, because they don't want, moisture molecules being projected out into the restaurant. So I'm SOL on those, but they'll come back. They'll come back.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I think that's the key to all of this. The one thing and I've been talking to musicians pretty consistently since March. I mean, there was a time where it was just crazy, like hundreds and hundreds. But what I've realized over this time is that resoundingly the musicians in the jazz world have been positive. I've put interviews on speaker for my kids to listen to, and they've just really felt kind of the feelings that are going through. And there is a lot of bad stuff going on, but what silver linings, what positive things, what for you have you noticed with the planet slowing down that has been positive for you in either self-reflection or just in your life right now as we get to the end of this year?
Well, I've had to learn some things, which is good, I mean, learn how to deal with technology that I wasn't dealing with before, learn how to teach remotely, that sort of thing. I've gotten caught up with a lot of things. Just I said, I had a lot of spare time, but I really don't have any spare time. I mean, it's just the time gets filled up with stuff. But there's a lot of stuff that I was able to catch up on, whether it was bookkeeping or home improvements or, writing, music and things like that, exercise. It was weird, I think I remember June and July especially, because there was nothing going on at that time. And I thought, so this is what retirement feels like. And I thought, actually this is pretty cool. I got lots of free time, but God, what I miss more than anything? I'll tell you what, it just kind of brought things into perspective. It's like little things that used to bother me don't bother me anymore. They seem so unimportant now.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. That's a good thing. Yeah. I really every day when I get up, I think about all the things I'm thankful for and verbalize them, because that really makes them more powerful. And realize, I really have it good. I mean, you really brings to bear how important and wonderful your friends and family are. And I really miss people. I mean, that's the thing that I miss. I miss playing live music. I think, this is not a silver lining. I mean, I think, the technology that we have has been real handy during the pandemic. I can't imagine a pandemic without computers or cell phones. Then you would really be isolated. And so, but I have, and I think a lot of people have, screen fatigue. And, a lot of people presenting music online, and, that's okay for now, but ain't nothing like the real thing, baby.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing like the real thing. And it'll never be a substitute for live music as far as I'm concerned. That's about it. But, there's some good things. It's always good with the bad.
Yeah, there is, and this is a monopoly. There's nothing you can do about it. I think it exemplifies the powerlessness that we all feel. And
Well, that's a good point. And that's not going to stop.
Right.
Because, there's stuff going on besides the pandemic. It's kind of like, I feel like the pandemic kind of brought our attention to a lot of other things that are really major problems that aren't going to go away.
Yeah.
So, like the way our society is structured, the way our government is structured, the way the world is structured, and it just sort of pointed out a lot of things.
Yeah.
Man, that stuff ain't going away anytime soon. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. There was a lot of things that did kind of get thrown into this mix. And have you just sat back and thought and pondered what it's going to feel like when you do get back on a stage like the Prairie Village Jazz Fest or something like that, and you get to some level of what we used to know prior to this? Have you thought about how good that's going to feel?
Well, yeah, I've already had a taste of that because I had a couple of gigs, like I said, a month. And, wow, that's the other thing that's been really cool is I'm so excited to go play now. It's like I played up at Johnny's in Liberty Saturday, and it was so much fun. Wow. Because it's not like I took it for granted. It's just that sometimes it gets to be a grind. And now it's like every live gig is just so special.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, it's always fun, but it's like, wow, this is cool. Remember how this is,
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. A lot of places won't survive. Some places will. We'll see.
I guess that's the concern too. It's we're at this point right now where we don't know what's going to come back. We don't know how this is all.
No. And that's, I think, the most unsettling thing to people in general is the uncertainty. And everything is uncertain. There's nothing you can be certain of. There's no certainty as to, you can do all the right things and still catch COVID. You can do all the wrong things and not catch it. And it affects everybody in a different way. Some people just get cold symptoms. Some people die. And then the worst things, just don't know.
Yeah.
So right now I'm just kind of hanging on to my, faith, and I don't mean religion, I mean faith.
Yeah.
And, we'll see what happens. I know some people who have gotten other jobs because they couldn't make any money, some musicians. I know a couple of musicians, some friends of mine who went to truck driving school.
Wow.
And got truck driving certificates. Yeah, just in case.
I've heard that.
Fallback.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, and I guess the other thing I think about too is it's just kind of heartbreaking to see people like Molly Hammer and Lee Conant and all these cats that have gone away. And I think that's been kind of the weird thing about how this has happened. I think there's a level of musicians that may have survived if they weren't heartbroken over not doing what they loved their whole life. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But Molly was already on her way eventually.
Yeah.
COVID really had no bearing on that, except that she couldn't really go gig. I'm sure that was heartbreaking, and for us too, people who know her.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The last time I saw her was at a Valentine's Day gig down at the Chesterfield, and it was wonderful. She just looked strong and vibrant. She was kind of this beacon in the middle of the stage, and Hazen and all the other cats were around her, and it was just there was just a lot of vigor in that crowd. It was pre all of this, the town just won the Super Bowl and everybody's in love, and all of this was kind of flying, and I think about this year. I'm getting ready to do my final show for the year, and I'm looking back, and I remember seeing Squirrel Nut Zippers and the Dirty Dozen at the Kaufman, and it was the night before the Super Bowl, and I'm like, wow, what a hell of a way to start a year. And that was a powerful show. I mean, those guys, the Squirrel Nut Zippers, led they did a procession through the crowd, and now it's unthinkable. But they went through the crowd, up into the lobby, and ended up doing a Chiefs chant, and the whole place was packed, and everybody was doing the chant, and we were all getting ready to go to Miami and win it, and I think about that exuberance, and even the fact that Chiefs parade may have been the last large gathering on the planet before this struck, and it was here in Kansas City.
It was probably the last good thing that happened the whole year.
Yeah, and then all of it went down. Yeah, right.
Except for the election.
Right, exactly.
Except for the election, that was the other good thing.
I guess my final question, one of my final questions as we kind of sum this up and we look to 2020, when we do return and we get back to that place where I'm in the audience, you're on stage, what do you hope we all realize about this 9, 10, 11, 12 months, however long this absence is going to be before we go back?
I just hope, and I think everybody will feel this, that everybody realizes how precious every single moment is, and how precious music, especially live music, is in their lives. I think that people will appreciate it even more. I'm confident that things will come back because I think people are just dying to get out.
Yeah.
You know, once people can get out, they'll go out big time. So, you know,
I agree.
Well, anyway, you know, it's been interesting.
You know, it is, and I think that the hopeful things that I've seen this year, just kind of on the outside where I'm at, Lonnie opened up a club, Eddie Moore put out some really great music. Just, you know, the Freedom Affair, and I think there's a lot of things that have come out that are going to continue to come out, and I think the jazz world's always been a tenacious world. It's not a world where people get into it for the money. They get into it because their souls want that art, and I think that's going to survive and thrive. And I think you all are on an artistic forefront that's very unique in this world of making music.
I agree. You know, and the one thing that's unique about this pandemic is that the people and I never thought I'd see this, that the people that got hit the hardest were musicians.
Yeah.
I mean, well, obviously people who can't pay their bills, that's the worst. But, you know, the entertainment industry and the hospitality industry got hit as hard as anyone. And if you look at history, it's usually the other way around. It's usually when something bad happens, like a war, people take refuge in entertainment, especially music, live music. And so, like, musicians have always thrived in bad times until this one. So it's kind of a reversal of history in a way.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, as I kind of touched on a little bit before, I think the revival is going to start. I think once we get past that point in January and there's newness in the air, I think, and, you know, people are getting shots. I think even placebo. I remember years ago, a guy came by. Every year I have an art sale in my driveway, and some guy came by one time, and it was a magical conversation, and he was just talking about the power of positive thinking and how people that thought positively could get over diseases like cancer. And I think there's a part of us as a society now. I know it's winter, and I know we're hitting a wall with the COVID, but I think if we start getting some positivity and some good things undulating through our society, I think that could be another thing that will bolster us to a quicker recovery.
I agree, and that's the challenge. And I think you hit on the bottom line. Like, the hardest thing is to stay positive, and especially because not only the pandemic itself, but the way it was mishandled by the administration. Because I was just mad. You know, and a lot of people were angry, and that's not good, you know, and I don't want to walk around being mad and angry all the time. I truly believe that being positive and having positive thoughts brings you prosperity, and not just financial, but just prosperity in general. And so I get, from time to time, I've had a moratorium on the news, because I thought, you know, every time I watch the news, I just get madder and madder. I'm not going to watch it anymore, especially during this last year, the political stuff going on this last year. I just couldn't deal with it. I had to stop. That really helped.
Yeah, it does. I did it.
Yeah.
I detoxed. Yeah.
Yeah. Heavy. So, and, you know, the other thing is this has been a wake-up call, because there has always been the possibility of a pandemic, and we got caught with our pants down.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that ain't I don't think that's ever going to happen again.
Well, especially with this administration coming in, because they already set up an office that was dismantled. So from here on out, I think that's imperative, like without even being said, but we have the right people that are going to actually do what we did before. We're going to go back on that carousel. So, oh, man.
They're going to be on alert, you know.
Yeah.
So
they certainly are.
I hope we get the vaccine out quickly, and I hope people actually take it.
Yeah, I do too.
You know.
But man, it's great to hear from you, Stan. And I think it's very critical to talk about what's going on with this world, and hopefully we're in it sooner than later. And I look forward to being back in that happy seat watching you cats play, because I desperately missed it. Amanda misses it. This town misses it, and I think we're going to have a revival of music and jazz that's going to be unparalleled, and I can't wait to see it happen.
I like the way you think, my brother.
Positivity, my man.
That's right. Give Amanda my best.
Absolutely.
And thanks for reaching out, man. I really appreciate it. This has been great.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Stan, take care.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in Kansas City and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Stan for his dedication to Kansas City and always being such a cool cat and a beacon of light in the jazz scene. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.